Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be giving you my Gemini July 2019 horoscope forecast part 2 of 2. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the sun, moon, and ascendant. Anyway, people, first thing up is, well, as far as July goes, Venus will be in Leo from the 18th until the 30th. So the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, we may value pride, extroversion, generosity, fortitude, courage, and just simply being good-natured. As far as it could be matters with siblings, with cousins, with neighbors, people you knew from your early education, perhaps. It could be just giving people some trips. I mean, this is about third house is about short journeys. You might be expressing a lot of generosity with that and really enjoying it as well. This, in some cases, though, this may manifest perhaps in extravagant spending on a car or a vehicle and spending money on gas, taking short trips. This could also be a time, if you're unattached Gemini, that you may connect with a Leo sun, moon, or ascendant person, or simply one that embodies Leo characteristics. It could be somebody you know through your short journeys, your early education. Maybe it's somebody that you've been communicating with for some time and you're decided to maybe escalate things and start a really strong connection with this person. It could also be, too, where you might find yourself perhaps enjoying dominating conversations at this time as well, and maybe the love of boasting about what you know when you're communicating to somebody. And also, too, this could be about the loving Leo things, perhaps with your siblings, your cousins, your neighbors, people you knew from your early education, such as entertaining, just doing things of an extroverted nature. It could be sports, golf could be one thing. Anything that could be Leo related, maybe playing military games or playing Guitar Hero, something where you like to stand out, and just could be games in general. Leo can be associated with these kind of things of a creative nature. Anyway, next thing up. Well, Mars will be in Leo, so the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. Well, this could be about a lot of a surf fight and an abundance of mental and physical energy, and even an extrable energy, since we're talking about Leo. The thing about is to be careful, people, because you're talking about Mars and Leo. It could be a very excessive heat. I mean, you're talking about looking at this. You're talking about a lot of fire and really a lot of heat, because you're talking about Mars and then in a fire sign in Leo. Just be very prudent regarding possible dehydration at this time. If you're doing a lot of driving in your short journeys, just make sure you're hydrated and you got your windows open, because this could be a greater propensity for that at this time. Especially, I mean, you got this, if you're talking about the third house being emphasized and highlighted, a lot of mobility. Could also be because you're talking about an exorbitant amount of fire, and you're talking about Mars and Leo energy. And also, this could be about injecting a lot of energy into dominating conversations. It might be where you might be having some contentious and acrimonious situations with siblings, with cousins, with neighbors. It could be over matters with pride or ego, or maybe where you feel you were being demoralized or somebody humiliated you, perhaps or demeaned you, and it might be arguments connected with that. It could also be a time, if you're unattached this time, Gemini, you may connect with a Leo sun, moon, or ascendant person, or simply one that embodies those traits. It may be someone you knew from your early education, someone prominent in short journeys. It could be somebody, talk about the third house is associated with Gemini. It could be somebody younger than you even. It could also be having dramatic arguments, perhaps with neighbors, with siblings, with cousins even, and also a lot of energy perhaps into creative writing at this time as well. Anyway, next thing up, Jupiter will still be in Sagittarius, so the seventh house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, as I've spoken about in previous videos, Jupiter, though it's very strongly benign and benevolent, could also be very paradoxical, could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand. In some cases, this can enlarge and expand over enthusiasm, exuberance, overconfidence, foolhardiness, recklessness in seventh house matters such as legal matters and maybe being able to conquer open adversaries. This could also be very lucky and fortuitous though for sports competitions at this time, or any competition connected with higher education, if you're, as far as things that you might have learned during your higher education, or some kind of collegiate, something connected with college. This could be something too where you may be putting a lot of this could be a lot of exuberance, enthusiasm into sports competition, or something, also in arbitration matters as well. In some cases, now in partnerships, relationships, that matters with the grandmother, perhaps. This could also manifest in some cases a lot of hope and optimism connected with perhaps religious connections, sports connections, people you might know through the law that are in the legal field. It could also be too maybe hope, optimism simply in Sagittarius relationships and people. It could be Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply ones that embody Sagittarius characteristics. It could simply be people that are very upbeat, that are those incorrigible optimists, so to speak, that are very jocular and jovial. And being around those people might provide some hope and optimism for you at this time, and also could be very fortuitous for lawsuits at this time as well. So anyway, next thing up, Saturn will still be in Capricorn, so the 8th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. Well, you might be experiencing some restrictions and limitations in matters with sexual and intimate relationships at this time, with moral, emotional, monetary support. You might at this time find yourself taking care of a sickly or debilitated sexual partner, or someone you're in an intimate relationship with, or somebody that you know well in a shared resources situation. It could be they might be debilitated or sickly. You might find yourself taking care of them. And it could be something Capricorn related, such as something with the knees, the bones, or the joints that be making you feel somewhat despondent or melancholy. Now, could also be where older people, and sometimes even the father, might figure prominently in a transformation you might make. And you might be experiencing diminished libido at this time, Gemini. Also, too, another way this may manifest, this could be about taking responsibility perhaps to a Capricorn type surgery, such as something perhaps with the hamstrings, the knees, the bones, or the joints, and also about if you're somebody that's in a profession where you're like an investigator, you might find yourself even doing more laborious and very consistent criminal profiling. There might be more work involved in that than you originally anticipated, and be working extensive hours, more so than you thought you were going to at this time. Could also be about taking responsibility perhaps for debts, and maybe something connected with a loan or taxes or insurance situation. And it might be too where you might feel some kind of limitation or restriction on a matter connected with an inheritance. There might be some delays in connection with that. Next thing up, Uranus will still be in Taurus, so the 12th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. Well, at some instances, this may manifest in Taurus friendships that might be driving you figuratively crazy. It might be Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply ones that embody Taurus characteristics. You might be dealing in some cases, in isolated cases, with an unusual, stubborn mental illness, but a lot of this could be predicated and dependent on aspects this makes the points in your chart. If there's other things that might reaffirm this, maybe just making a square, say, to your 3rd house cusp, or an adverse aspect to your natal Mercury at this time, or if there's something in the progressed chart that might indicate this. But other than that, generally, this could be rather isolated though. But at the same time, you might be there might be matters with Uranus hidden adversaries that might be going on. It could be people that are in an astrological field or in astronomy, even rocket scientists, people that are in aerospace, computers, electronics, innovators. Some cases this could be about non-conforming, even idiosyncratic behavior could be one's self-undoing. And Also at this time, hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. Anyway, you might be experiencing some disruptions to your sleep, your private life at this time. Some cases, this could be about some kind of bizarre, unusual, or idiosyncratic behavior on your part might be misconstrued by others. In some cases, they might think it might be a mental illness in isolated cases. Could also be where friendships might be tied in to one's secret sorrows, and it might even be maybe there's some kind of something that might be seen at least as bizarre behavior on your part might be tied into secret sorrows as well, such as being misunderstood by others because of this. And anyway, well, the next thing up is Neptune will still be in Pisces, so the 10th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. You might find yourself dealing, when you're looking at this energy, it could be about where the dominant parent, authority figures, people prominent in your career may be more nebulous and unclear than usual. You may be dealing with deceptive and duplicitous behavior from 10th house people. And it could be, sadly, in some cases where matters with maybe your career, your reputation, your public image may be dissipating and dissolving. On a positive note, though, you may be doing something Neptune related as far as your career goes. It could be something with photography, chemistry, special effects, the metaphysical, which includes astrology, spirituality, something where you're dealing like a drug or addiction counselor in some cases, poetry, dancing, pharmaceutical work. Could also be at this time when you're talking about Neptune energy, it's more lethargic, more lackadaisical. It could be very lethargic, lackadaisical. This could be a time where you might feel more like fantasizing and daydreaming in regards to 10th house matters as opposed to actually acting on them, especially if this is making an adverse aspect to your natal sun, Mars, or Ascendant. So anyway, well, last but not least, Pluto will still be in Capricorn, so the 8th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, I know a lot of you don't want me to say the dreaded D word, but you know I'm going to anyway. Now, in some cases, this could be about the actual, or it could be the literal death of somebody you're in an intimate or sexual relationship with. It could be someone you're in a shared resources situation with. You might find yourself dealing with upheavals and power struggles in shared resources situations with a sexual partner. Some cases too, this could manifest perhaps in a surgical situation, some surgery connected with the knees, such as like a knee transplant or replacement at this time, or anything that could be related to Capricorn at this time especially. Doesn't mean it has to be Capricorn. Remember that Pluto is very generational, so it could just be surgery in general. Your Pluto can be connected with surgery, and the 8th house, of course, is associated with that. Now, it could also be an opportune time, though, to eradicate credit card debt and insurance and tax situations at this time. Could also be, in some cases, you might find yourself dealing with some destructive psychological issues, but also perhaps delving deep into matters connected with astrology, the occult, supernatural. At this time, you might find yourself really trying to uncover secrets regarding perhaps an inheritance or an insurance matter at this time. But on another note, though, this could also be about maybe having some kind of obliteration of some kind of moral, emotional, or monetary support at this time. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for my Gemini July 2019 horoscope forecast, part 2 of 2. And stay tuned next time, where I'm going to be talking about who I believe my biggest fan is as far as my YouTube astrology videos go. 2 things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone. Because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.